The Ben Heck Show is brought to you by Element 14, the electronic design community and online store built for engineers and hobbyists alike. Join now and browse the store at element14.com.
Hello, The Ben Heck Show, your one-stop shop for cheesy skits, pinball, pie, and electronics fun. Oh, hey, Felix. Sick? Out all week?
Boy, I sure am glad Felix is around to help with all these tasks. Without Felix's help, we couldn't get these projects done. Without projects, we wouldn't have episodes. Without episodes, we wouldn't have a show. And without a show, we'd all be back to doing card tricks in the street. That means you too, Alyson.
Get well soon. Felix is gone. We're only going to survive if you teach me how to solder.
We've got a lot of work to do. For starters, can we turn off all these fans?
Amazing builds, exclusive mods, cutting-edge ideas, electronics, engineering, and more. Every week on Element 14's The Ben Heck Show.
Hello and welcome back to the Ben Heck Show. In today's episode, I'm going to teach Alyson how to solder since Felix is out sick and we need to get a few things done. So we're going to start her off with the basics and then move up to a test circuit that we need to build anyway for the Raspberry Pi compute module. Let's get started. Put the iron to a pad and now bring the solder to it. There you go. Now just pull both away.
Oh.
Yeah. It's pretty easy. It's kind of like using a hot glue gun where if you go away too slowly, you might like pull what we call a tin whisker away, like a little bit of metal.
Okay.
So you just kind of just yank it away. Yeah, try a couple more.
How long do I need to heat up the part?
Not very long.
Okay.
I mean, again, this is a 500-degree iron. If you have, you need more than that, yeah. There you go. I would do even a little bit more than that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Great, now let's move on to stripping wires. So grab your X-Acto knife.
Okay.
So what you want to do is you want to pre-separate this ribbon cable by just...
Sure,
Yeah.
I've seen you do it before.
Oh.
Yeah, it's almost like I've seen you do this a million or at least many times.
I guess the audience has too.
But we never get sick of it. We always want more.
Okay, now that you've separated them, peel them about 1 inch back each. Just like string cheese. Okay, now...
Can I use these?
You don't want to use your teeth, right? Are you sure?
I'm absolutely positive I do not want to use my teeth.
Is it working? Yep, that's right. Just do it. There you go.
Okay. So, get each one of these.
I think you need to go in a little further.
Perfect.
So remember when I talked about them getting de-stranded? There's
Yes.
two types of wire. There's solid wire, which would be like in your house for high current, and then there's stranded wire. Stranded wire is meant to be more flexible. But what can happen is it will, the strands will come apart on you and cause short circuits. So you can either twist the wires, which isn't really that easy to do in this case, or we can tin them. Just want to bring it together. So I'm going to bring the solder and the iron together. Remember, you're not painting it on, you're melting it on.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So basically, get the wire in between the solder and the iron. And once they're tinned, they won't break apart. Something else you want to think about is you want to make sure you don't have a big blob on the end, because if you do, you won't be able to get the wires through the via holes.
Okay.
Via hole is kind of redundant. Okay, want to give that a shot? So yeah, the wire is between the solder and the iron.
Why don't I just use helping hands? That's what I want to know.
Do you want me to get them?
Yeah.
You don't have to move the iron. There you go, just melt. There you go, there you go.
It's kind of a cloud.
And you want to use the flat part of the iron, so you actually want to have the iron kind of sideways.
Oh,
Yeah, get
that's
as
what
much.
you mean.
Get as much surface area. There you go. There you go. Good. You are learning, grasshopper.
Wait, so does this make me a Padawan?
I could be like Yoda. Much practice you need. Okay, now that they're tinned, we can attach them to the PCB as a demonstration.
Okay.
You could actually use the helping hands again if you wanted. So let's say you're making interconnects between PCBs. One thing I like to do, let's see how many we have here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 8, okay? So one good tip is to do the ends first. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, here's a great place for your tweezers. See? Now metal has a memory to it when you bend it.
Yes.
Yes. So stranded wire isn't going to have as much of a memory as a solid wire would, but it still has some. So I'm going to use the tweezers, feed them in one at a time. Good thing I have depth perception, unlike that guy from Battlestar Galactica. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over. Now the first thing you want to do is get the ends, because if you have the ends in place, the whole thing will stay in place. So in this case, since I don't have enough hands, I'm going to get some solder and bring it to it.
Okay.
Yeah, so sometimes you do kind of have to do that because you just basically run out of hands.
And if you need to, you can just clean up the solder job once you have everything in place.
You just want it to be in place. Okay, there we go. So now they got the ends in place, everything stays in place. So I'm going to let you do the rest.
Okay. Oops. Okay.
Just gush it on there.
Oh yeah, I forgot I gotta pull it away quickly.
Mm-hmm. Make sure you hit the pad too, a little bit more than that. Don't be afraid to just cram that solder in there. There we go, yeah. It's not that expensive.
Okay.
Cram it in there. Yeah. I'll go even faster than that. The iron will melt it fast enough. Just cram it in there. See? Yeah, there you go. Cram it in there. Okay, now you can hit the ends and make sure they've add a little bit more to the ends. Get the other end, the left-hand side. Okay, cool. Now you'll want to use your nippers and just make sure they're all at the same level. They probably are decent. But...
Okay. All right, so now I know how to solder up wires.
Right.
In a semi-decent fashion.
Most of electronics is really the interconnection between systems, so how you connect things is very important. All right, let's move on to some integrated circuits. Now it's time for a tech timeout. I have been developing a meatloaf. It all started when Alyson and I discussed what Meatloaf wouldn't do for love, the singer, which apparently is that. Then I watched a documentary on meatloaf, and then I decided to cook meatloaf. So I did multiple revisions. I started with breadcrumbs. I used crumbled up bread, but that didn't work so hot. I actually realized that if you crack an egg, then you mix in some Worcester sauce, some thyme, and a little pepper, and just breadcrumbs out of a can, that actually works really good. And you make a paste, right? It looks like it's too dry, but it isn't. Then you mix that paste with ground beef, and you must make sure it is 93-7, just like solder is 60-40. You want 93 beef, 7% fat, basically. Anyway, then you mix that all up. After you wash all the solder off your hands, you mix the paste and the beef together to make a loaf. Then I put the loaf in my infrared oven. This is a flavor wave. It uses a halogen lamp and convection to cook food evenly, and I like it because you can just turn it on and forget about it. Then I made a glaze that is half mustard, half ketchup, and this should give it a nice color on top once it's done. Cook for 25 minutes, and then you have a nice, fresh, steamy loaf. But don't take my word for it. Let's have Alyson do a taste test.
He's done it. He has developed a wonderful meatloaf. Wow. What will he do next? Cookies. I think that we should encourage him to engineer some awesome cookies. We don't need a socket in the Raspberry Pi circuit that we're gonna do later. This is just so that I know how to use one, is that right?
Yeah, the Raspberry Pi circuit is just passives, which means it's just resistor components. But I want to talk to you about sockets anyway.
Okay.
Talk to your kids about sockets before someone else does.
So this is just to give it a little extra challenge too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna pick from the bin of sockets, and I choose to use the cheapest socket we have.
Of course.
Well, yeah, hey, yeah.
I totally won't destroy it.
These are expensive, these DIP 40s.
I won't destroy it unless I do.
Well, we'd have to desolder it. Okay, so this is a socket. A socket obviously holds an integrated circuit. You should be like, why use a socket?
But why use a socket?
Because it makes it easy to remove the chip. So one nice thing about sockets is you can kind of let you, okay, you know, test out your circuit. Like I'm gonna put that there, and then I'm gonna put another component here. You know, you can kind of just arrange it like Legos, right?
Okay.
So let's just pretend that this circuit is going to connect directly to these wires. And we're only gonna do one socket, but. And you want to make sure you have it, if you do use multiple sockets, have a decent amount of spacing between them, especially if you're going to be doing this by hand, just because it makes it easier to wire.
Okay.
Okay? So when you place your socket, oops, gravity, right? Although, you know, gravity's pretty useful. I think, you know, we take it for granted.
Can I guess what one of your tips is going to be based off of having seen every episode of the Ben Heck Show?
All right, but you have to do it, and you have to impersonate me when you do it.
Okay. Hey, all you people at home, I'm Ben Heck. If you're gonna be putting on something like this on your circuit board, movie reference, movie reference, movie reference, you wanna do one side, one pin on the outside, and then one pin on the other side. Hold it in place, and then do the other pins.
And you're holding it in place with your finger.
Is that right?
Oh, no, I'm gonna impersonate Alyson. Let's see, can we get a shop pet?
Can we?
No.
Is this a situation where I can bring the solder over?
Yes, just gush it on there.
Okay, I think I need to like gush it more.
Yeah, just enough to hold it in place. You don't have to do a great job here, you just have to hold it. That's fine, that's fine.
Okay.
Now do the opposite corner. It's just like when you bolt something together, you always bolt the two corners together and then you go from there. There you go, you can let go now, it'll stay in place.
Okay.
Okay, now you can do the rest properly.
Okay, I'm gonna redo this one so it's good.
Actually, wait, no, do the other ones first, because if you redo the one holding it into place, it could slip.
Oh, dang. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
That's one thing I'm good at, is thinking of problems. You remember my tip? Gush it on there.
Oh, I keep on putting it on the wrong thing. Okay.
Yep. It's okay to hit the iron with the solder. It'll still flow on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm realizing that that's kind of what I need to do here.
One thing I would say, it's easier to put on too little solder than it is to put on too much. So I would err in the case of too much solder usually. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of ugly.
That's okay. No. Just put more solder on it. Actually, so if you put more solder on it, watch how it'll clean up the rest. See how it disconnected?
Okay.
Yeah. You're okay. Keep going.
I'm doing it.
Remember, you want to hit the pad with the solder, not the iron. I would clean your iron. It's got some stuff on it. So clean off the solder. What's my quote? Gush it on there. Gush it on there. That's my impression of you doing your impression of me. All right, let me take a look.
On a scale of A to F, how did I do?
Yeah, it looks fine.
Oh.
Yeah, and this mistake that well, not a mistake, but this solder spill. Yeah. Oh, okay, all right.
I can do it.
She's getting addicted to solder.
All right, so I have soldered my first IC socket.
Cool. In the next step, we're going to attach the IC to these wires. Just go for it. Yep, so come from the back, push it with the tip. Yep. I just push it over. Yep. Okay. Now add some solder, just in case. I would do more than that.
Dang, I'm being
just
really conservative with how much solder I'm using.
Okay, one thing I would do a little different with that is you kind of had the iron toward this. I would actually put it back here. So put the iron where there's less solder. See that?
Okay.
Yep. Like, let's push over this one as well. I'm gonna push over all of these.
I don't want solder. I don't want to be like you. I don't want to be covered in solder with my shoes and my pants.
And super cool. And way taller than you on camera, which we still don't understand. So remember, keep the iron where the solder isn't when you do this. Yep. Yep. Just gush it on there. Just put a ton on there. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, see? You just need to use more solder.
Okay.
Now for the grand finale. My lovely assistant, Alyson, will solder a schematic. So the purpose of this is so we can get audio off of the Raspberry Pi compute module. All right. Okay, let's get started.
Okay, so do I put these, what do I want to put on first?
Yeah, why don't you put those on first and then put them at either side of the board.
Centered?
Yep.
Well, I guess it can be completely centered, but to the best of my ability.
Sure.
Okay, I guess I'm gonna need a solder for our UK viewers.
There you go. You're like a robot now. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be good. Okay, put one on the other side. Ground. Let's go left, right, ground. This is just for our own reference. This one, let's do 3.3 volts, left, right, ground. So add pins, come down, over and up. So make a big ground rail along the bottom.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yes.
All right. Okay, we've got the ground plane. It's always good to add a ground plane and a power plane. So yeah, that's gonna be our ground. So anything that goes to ground, we can just go down to that.
Okay.
Make sense? All right, so there's 2 resistors in line coming from the inputs here.
So I'm soldering it to this pin right here?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I would do is I would bend it over and then cut it to length and then solder it. And put them both in before you do it. You might as well.
And I've got one next to it.
Yep. So the 2 center pins are gonna be the audio inputs.
Okay. Now what?
Okay. So there's a capacitor going to ground and a resistor going to ground, and they're in parallel. So take like that.
Okay.
See how both of them end up by our ground rail? Mm-hmm. So that'll help.
So attach those 2 to ground right now.
Yep, and then attach these 2 up there, but don't hit this one because that's a different channel.
Okay, got it.
All right. I'll help you with that. There, I did it.
Gee, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's do this.
Kick it. So we have our left and our right. So it needs to come into the capacitors and then out of the capacitors. The last thing to do is to connect these junction points to the outputs of the audio.
Okay.
We'll do that using some wires. So the wire stuff did come back around because it's about to be used all up in this joint. So what you're gonna wanna do is attach that to that and that to that. Although you could cheat just by bridging that and then connecting a wire from there to there.
I think I'll do the cheat. I mean, why not?
Okay.
So I'll bridge those 2 and then connect a wire from there to there.
Yeah, but don't touch that one. So connect that to that and then connect that to that. And that will finish the circuit.
Okay, I already forgot where I was supposed to put this.
You have to go from there to the one that's not connected.
Okay.
Get like fold it over so it, and then cut off the excess. Just smush it down with the iron, it'll work.
Now, I need to have this go to, which one? That guy?
No, you want to go to that one. So you've got to find an entry point there and then cut it off to the right length.
I'm gonna give it some slop.
Make sure you strip off enough wire for it to get through the board and to bend over, so probably like a 1/4 inch at least.
Oops.
Hey, your first circuit.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to get some hands-on experience, learn how to solder, so thanks for showing me.
And we're going to use this in a future episode is the audio circuit for the Raspberry Pi compute module that Felix is working on. Now, Alyson, just don't let all this geekery go to your head.
I don't think we have to worry about that.
Hey everybody, I'm back.
Felix, I've created a monster.
Oh, hey guys. I'm just working on a project for the Star Trek convention.
Well, that was interesting. That's all the time we have for today. In our next episode, we're going to be doing some cool hacks around the shop to make the new place even better. We'll see you then. Oh no.
Gravity. It's against us.
Your favorite movie. I just feel like I'm encroaching your personal space. There you go. Keep wiggling it. Wiggle the resistor.
I'm wiggling it.
There you go. I think you're gonna want to change your tapes. Tapes?
Really? What year is it?
Over the past couple of months, I've been working on a new engineering project that will save the world.
Hello, the Ben Heck Show, your one-stop shop for... What was the things I was gonna say? Oh, yeah.
Which you should A, always do, B, never do, C, sloth sanctuary, which is the right answer.
I'm gonna have to go with Sloth Sanctuary on this one.
What's that noise?
My earrings.
No, I think it's something else. I think Sigourney Weaver is the same age as our moms. It is up to you because Felix is sick.
Okay. I don't know if I can fill Felix's shoes. Actually, I'm sure I can't. Because I wear 7.5.
Oh yeah, I have 10.5.
Hey, what's happening, dudes?
It has a ketchupy and mustard aroma. Oh my gosh.
The Ben Heck Show is brought to you by Element 14, the electronic design community and online store built for engineers and hobbyists alike. Join now and browse the store at element14.com.